Hello and welcome to the Longev Lens. Please join my co-host, Dr. Sebastian Pedersen and I as we cut through the noise and hype around longevity, health and wellness and turn the latest evidence into honest, practical insight for living better for longer.
And just a quick disclaimer before we dive in, this podcast is for educational purposes only and doesn't constitute medical advice. If you have a healthcare problem, please consult your doctor or qualified healthcare professional.
Welcome back to the Longev Lens, where we're going to go through our rapid fire segment. Today is going to be based on fibre, which is one of the most underrated levers that we could actually pull with longevity. Welcome back today as well, Seb. Thank you for taking through this. This is actually this really exciting topic because I don't know a whole lot. I know it's absolutely necessary. I know we don't consume enough of it. So let's just start off with, what is fibre?
Yep, so especially the dietary fibre is the non-digestible forms of carbohydrates often found in plant-based foods.
Yep.
And as you said, probably the most underrated pillar of especially nutritional aspects of longevity, because with observational studies, it's been found that having an adequate intake of dietary fibre on a daily basis can reduce your all-cause mortality by about 20 to 30%. Okay. That's significant. Yes, there are other confounding factors, but still, based on the literature we have, there's still a significant amount of impact you can have just by making dietary adjustments on a daily basis. And
now there's different types of fibre too, is it? So there's digestible, non-digestible, resistant?
Yep, correct, exactly.
Well?
So there's soluble and insoluble. Soluble being the type of fibre that can dissolve in water. Insoluble being the types of fibre that don't dissolve in water. And then you have the subcategory of the insoluble fibre, which is the resistant starches. Couple of different categories. Most important ones clinically are the category 2 and category 3. The main category 2 is green banana or green banana flour, most commonly used rather than actually eating green banana.
What type of fibre would that be?
That would be resistant starch or resistant fibres, which is an insoluble fibre, and it's the second category. So there's 5 categories of resistant starches. And then the third category, RS3, is where you have cooked and cool starchy vegetables. So you cook your potatoes, you cook your brown rice, cool it in the fridge, and then you eat it cold rather than reheating it, because that too much reheat, it can actually disrupt the chemical composition.
So you eat it cold. I actually thought, once you've cooked it, cooled it, and then reheated it, so it doesn't have the same properties once you've reheated it.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. And so for the soluble fibres, what are some examples of soluble fibres?
Yep. So the main ones are oats and psyllium. You also get from lentils and beans. So everyone thinks in terms of fibres, everyone always goes to metamucil or psyllium husk and oats. But there's so many other more important aspects of fibre. So the leafy green vegetables, which are insoluble, but soluble, it's really lentils, beans, psyllium, oats, and there's a whole other variety as well.
What do they do?
Exactly.
General?
So, I mean, the benefits of fibre, there's 4 main areas that I like to talk about. One is metabolic health. So by metabolic health, we're talking about weight reduction. So it's been shown that having adequate intake of fibre can reduce your body weight by about half a kilo to 2 kilograms.
Say that again?
Yep. So
reduce your body weight?
By having, over a longer period of time, just by increasing your fibre intake,
you
can reduce your body weight by about half a kilo to 2 kilos.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is very important, especially for those that with metabolic risk.
And
then in addition to that, also reduction in your glucose levels. So the HbA1c, which is a 3-monthly average of your glucose levels, can be reduced by about 0.5%.
Okay.
Just by having adequate fibre. And that's
which is actually quite significant considering it's not a big scale.
Exactly right. And where I often go to with fibre is everyone's like, oh, yeah, but 0.5%, but that's just fibre. Then you do everything else. You change your diet. You reduce processed foods, like especially processed carbohydrates, whole grain carbohydrates, vegetables, fruits, exercise. So just changing that one thing, and you can get 0.5% reduction, whether that's from 6.0 being pre-diabetic to 5.5 being almost optimal. I mean, that's a significant improvement just on one change.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that is quite a big difference, as you say, because it is a smaller scale.
Yeah,
when you say 0.5%, it's not based on 100.
Yeah, it's exactly right.
It's between 4.5 to 6 being actually the big change, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's incremental.
4.5 is optimal.
Yeah, well, less than 5.5 I always think is optimal.
Okay.
And then 5.5 and then as you get closer to 6.5 is the pre-diabetic range, and then sort of 6.5 and above is diabetes or being diabetic.
Okay. So let's just circle back to soluble fiber.
Yep.
So what does that do?
Yeah, so soluble fiber, it's viscous, so it absorbs water. By absorbing water, it performs a bulk forming agent, so it reduces the amount of, so it reduces your appetite for one, but also reduces the uptake of glucose. So we talked about weight loss, we talked about HbA1c, and it does that by your glucose being harder to absorb by the gut, and thus you get a less of a peak when glucose or carbohydrates is digested and absorbed, thus reducing the peak glucose levels after a meal.
Okay.
So that's a significant benefit, but also from a cardiovascular benefit, so that we just talked about weight loss and HbA1c from a metabolic perspective. Soluble fiber from a cardiovascular perspective can also reduce your LDL, or your sort of the bad causing, the bad form of cholesterol, or an ApoB, or ApoB containing particles.
Yeah. Which we were talking about a lot last time.
Exactly.
Really
and we're
important for cardiovascular disease.
Exactly. And in fiber, just having, again, adequate fiber is about 0.3 to 0.5 millimoles per litre reduction in just LDL, which again is significant from a cholesterol perspective, just by changing fiber. And then you can change other things, reducing alcohol, exercise, and to get those complementary or synergistic effects. So it's significant, important. And then there's also additional elements. So the prebiotics, so soluble and insoluble fiber, are very good for the gut microbiome to reduce inflammation, optimize immunity or immune function, protect the gut barrier wall, and also make sure you have a wide breadth of different microbiome species in the gut to maximize your health.
The prebiotics are, correct me if I'm wrong, are they essentially what the probiotics feed off?
Yeah, correct.
Once they actually go into the
That's
gut?
exactly right.
They're essential one and the other.
Exactly right. And I think with gut microbiome, you get so much more bang for your buck with prebiotics than probiotics. People often think, I've had whatever, I've been unwell, I'm going to take a probiotic. But realistically, you get so much more bang for your buck for actually just changing what you're eating, getting enough prebiotics into your diet, so the fibers that the gut microbiome feeds off, you get significant more health improvements from that rather than just taking tablets, because you could be taking a probiotic, but then when you're taking the tablets, maybe you don't have the actual fuel sources that these bacteria are consuming or want to consume. Then you're just paying a lot of money for expensive things that aren't really working.
And that's the thing, like the probiotics were a bit more of a trendy thing. It seems now it's a bit more popular to actually have like your sauerkrauts and kimchi and that sort of stuff. But again, as you say, you actually have to have, so things like would psyllium husk be a good additive for probiotics to be working better? Correct.
Yeah, so the sauerkrauts and kimchi are more probiotic rather than prebiotic. But exactly, you need to get the fibers in, and also like what we use within Longev is, and we'll talk about that a bit later in terms of using supplements. So using prebiotics to manipulate the gut microbiome. So what we really want to do is, so for people who aren't having adequate fiber in their diet, despite all attempts, then we can supplement with prebiotics to manipulate. But what prebiotic are we going to use? There's so many. Are we going to use inulin? Are we going to use partially hydrolyzed guar gum? Are we going to use galactomannan or galactorigosaccharides? There's so many different prebiotics you can use. So for me, getting that comprehensive gut microbiome test done tells me, okay, that's what the status that your gut microbiome is at, which means that this prebiotic is going to be better for you versus another prebiotic might be better for another person.
So does that gut health test that we do, does that go through pretty much every probiotic, prebiotic, or I guess environment, to which you would need to supplement or feed?
Correct.
Like
it tells us a heap of markers, not only from the gut, the microbiome composition of what bugs are present, which ones are mostly predominant, which ones are lacking, but also are there significant issues with inflammation? Are we gut permeability, and a whole heap of other markers such as how much butyrate are we producing? Butyrate is a substrate that the gut the gut wall feeds off. So the more butyrate you have, the more you protect your gut wall, thus improving overall health as well.
Okay.
So it's super dependent. I wish I could say and said, if you have gut issues, use this supplement. But for me, it's like, well, what supplement are we using? Like we talked about the supplements episode, going through those criteria of what are we actually going to use and what are we trying to achieve is very important.
So again, just being a bit more personalised rather than taking a bit of a blanket. I heard this supplement was really good. I'm going to take it just for shits and giggles pretty much.
That's exactly right.
but we need to actually have something that's individualized.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
There's been a massive increase
Yep.
in colorectal cancer,
Correct.
in particular for young people like
Yep.
18 to 25-year-olds. I think it's a ballpark of like 500% over the last 20 years, which
Yep.
is quite large.
Significant.
Do you think fiber intake, processed foods, environmental aspects all play a role in
I
that?
do. Like, honestly, I wish I had the literacy to say, yeah, absolutely, black and white. But looking at trends, looking at behaviours over the last couple of decades, I absolutely think so. That's got a significant composition or a significant contributing factor. With, I think it's about 20 to 30% reduction in colorectal cancer by just having adequate fibre in your diet.
Wow.
Which again is significant.
Yeah.
But I do think like people focus way too much on macros of with how much protein, how much carbs am I getting. But with every meal, you really want to be making sure, okay, what's my fibre source in every meal to make sure that for a female, you're getting about 20 to 30 grams of fibre, and for a male, 30 to 40 grams of fibre.
That's actually something I've been trying to implement over the last few months since being at Longev, because I was of that same crowd of being much, I need to get my protein, carbs, fats from different types of sources and things. But fibre was very much an afterthought. And fibre, I've recently been adding in the psyllium husk, which I believe is the soluble fibre.
Yep.
Because unfortunately, as soon as I pour water into it and just try to chug it down, it gets really thick. But I feel like I'd be really interested to see what my my LDL and ApoB will be, because I want to probably test in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But it's those couple of things now that I've started to add in where I find, everything actually does start to feel like moving through the system a bit better.
Yep.
I've actually got sensitivities to food,
Yep.
and I feel like they're reduced than what they used to be. So like I used to have dairy soy sensitivities, which I still do, but I feel like they're nowhere near as bad as what they were when I wasn't focusing on fiber quite as much. And like pure and simple, just taking more psyllium husk. Like in the morning, I'd have about 15 to 20 grams of that. Which fitting into my macros, because I've been trying to lose weight. A lot of fiber sort of foods are, I guess, a bit more calorie dense. So I always found that the psyllium husk was just such a really simple, easy way to do it. First thing in the morning, don't even have to think about it really. And it's just nice and easy done. I've already got half my daily fiber.
Exactly right.
So what are some other things for the rest of the day you'd recommend as
That's
fiber
exactly right.
sources?
So I've prepared here like some meal plan, just to give you an idea of how to make this actionable. So in terms of soluble fiber, I've prepared this. So psyllium husk, 2 tablespoons of psyllium husk has 7 grams of fiber.
Yep.
Half a cup of beans have 4 grams of fiber, or soluble fiber. Oats, 1 cup has 2.4 grams of soluble fiber. And then lentils, half a cup is 2 grams. So oats is very popular, but you're getting so much more fiber in psyllium and in beans.
Does it matter if it's cooked?
In terms of the beans and oats, both are effective. Then it's just a matter of the serving size is different. So it changes, for example, cooked is always a bit smaller, so the serving size is smaller compared to uncooked. And everything I talked about here, is cooked.
Okay.
It's cooked, so half a cup of cooked beans, 1 cup of oats, and half a cup of lentils. In terms of insoluble fiber, wheat bran, half a cup of that, 11 grams of insoluble fiber, significant amount. Lentils, half a cup, 6 grams. Leafy greens, 1 cup, 5 grams. So that's raw leafy greens. And then whole grain bread, 1 slice is 2 grams. So yes, you rely on whole grain bread, but you really want to be hitting, wheat bran, lentils, leafy greens for your fiber intake. And then to make that into a meal plan, if you're a female or a smaller male and you're trying to get that 20 to 30 grams of fiber a day, for breakfast, half a cup of oats, half a cup of fresh berries, 1 tablespoon of chia seeds gets you 10 grams of fiber, dietary fiber.
Yep. Is that an insoluble fiber?
So that'd be both. That's a composition of both. So we're just calculating all fibers now rather than in diet.
Yep.
Because that's what you really want. Depending on if you're really trying to, for example, reduce cholesterol or optimize your glucose control, you can pivot that to a little bit more soluble fiber versus insoluble. But in terms of just getting enough fiber to start off with as a baseline, you just want to be getting enough fiber both from soluble and insoluble sources.
Yep.
For lunch, half a cup of lentils and 1 cup of leafy greens get you 11 grams. And then for dinner, half a cup of beans and 1 cup of cooked vegetables gets you 8 grams. So again, you need to make sure to get that 20 to 30 grams, you're having high fiber breakfast, lunch and dinner.
Actually doesn't sound like it's too difficult, because like when you say 30 to 40 grams, like
sounds
for me,
like
I was
a lot.
kind of like, how do I fit that in? But
Exactly.
when you see it there on paper or break it down as to what you probably already eat, and not realizing what's already in there.
Exactly.
It actually seems a bit more manageable.
Exactly. And for me, it's just, one evening or a couple of times a week, swap out the rice, the pasta for lentils or beans, making sure that, with every meal you have leafy greens or,
Get a bean bolognese.
Yeah, it's exactly right. Exactly right. Yeah. So it's just making those daily substitutions and being aware of it rather than just, because it's super easy just to do the normal sort of cooking, adding things in. So
does it make a big difference between the brown pastas, white pastas, brown rice,
I always
white
go
rice?
everything whole grain.
Yep.
I don't have any, personally, I don't have any refined carbohydrates to a degree. Like obviously brown rice, you need to actually take it from the plant, but I don't have any white pasta, white rice. The only thing I have in terms of white is potato, but that's from the ground. So if having carbohydrates, get whole grains, but rely also beans, legumes, lentils, leafy greens, and then for adding in those extra supplements of wheat bran and psyllium really has a significant improvement.
Are there certain types of breads that are better than others?
Whole grain. I just rely on whole grain, and then if you can rely more on rye is this very good prebiotic.
Okay.
Versus just standard wheat. As well.
With the prebiotics, are they insoluble, and the resistant
good
starches,
question,
or
good question.
are
They're mostly soluble.
Okay. Yep. Okay.
Yep.
So being absorbed by water or helping that pass through.
Yep.
And the insoluble, does that help with elimination of foods and toxins throughout your body?
Correct. The insoluble is correct. Regular bowel habits.
Yep. Just one last question. So how does the fibre actually help to eliminate cholesterol?
Yep. So
does a molecule grab onto it or something and again essentially flush it through?
Soluble fibers. So what they do is they bind the bile acids. So your liver produces bile to help with digestion. Goes through the bile duct into the small intestine. The soluble fibers then binds that, and then you excrete the bile. What that then means is because cholesterol is required for bile formation, your liver then takes up more cholesterol from the bloodstream to produce the bile, thus lowering bloodstream levels of cholesterol, ApoB or LDL.
Awesome. Okay. Cool. Was there anything else you'd like to add to that?
Not really. For me, it's just a matter of making sure that it's not a neglected source of good bang for your buck, really, or significant. As you said, it started off, it's a significant lever to optimizing your health span. Yeah.
Well, it's I find it's often one that's forgotten about. Whereas, it's something that definitely should be added to, and it's actually quite simple to even supplement with it as well. It doesn't have to be a really going out of your way to change massive habits. It can be quite easy once you've actually, just more aware of it. Which is what we want to do. Awesome. Thank you for that.
My pleasure.
Good rapid fire. I love that one. That was super interesting. And next episode, we're going to be going through, we're actually going to do a long form of gut health, which I'm actually really excited about. I know Seb also is really passionate about this one, from the testing, from the implementation of dietary management and treatment forms as well. And that'd be awesome. Hope you guys can join us. Thank you again.